Welcome back, you guys. So today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Normally I don't turn these videos out because it's really not a whole lot of content. However, I did a little bit of a search on YouTube. I noticed that really nobody's talking about this and or showing the process. So I thought, let me just quickly take you guys through that. Let me just educate my viewers just a little bit better of what actually can be done in the event that they want to have this done. So today we're going to be working with an NC Star VISM. And this is one of the flip-up sites. So I know you guys have seen this. This was one of the big SHOT Show things. There's several videos that have been posted out on YouTube about the site itself and how it works with the MOS guns and things like that. But today we have a slide that's not an MOS slide, and I want to just kind of take you through the quick possibilities of how to actually mount this to the slide and maybe the right way to mount this to the slide. So company reached out to me, local to North Carolina. They said, hey, we've got a site, we need it mounted. It's not an MOS. What can we do? What are our options? And they shipped it to me. So I didn't quite understand the magnitude of what that meant until it got in my possession, because I've never done one. So sometimes until I have the time to look things over, take some measurements, you know, look at the slide, look at the red dot, figure out exactly how it's going to all go together. It's hard to give an answer about whether or not it's going to be a smooth process or it's going to be a very difficult process. So I'm just trying to hopefully educate you guys a little bit better on that process. So when you purchase this site, it comes with like a pack of screws. So you get a bunch of different screws in here. You get a couple different batteries. I think they're the same battery. They just happen to send you two, or for some reason I got two of them in this box. So we're just going to kind of set those aside. Of course, they give you a couple of different Allen screws or Allen wrenches for the screws. We're going to set that aside as well. So on the bottom of this site, it's an open battery, much like your Vortex stuff is. Basically, we have two options here. Okay, so this plate here is designed specifically for the MOS Glock models, and it goes directly onto the red dot itself, like so. A couple of things you're going to notice is that it's longer than the sight itself. So if you look at here, it doesn't look longer, but if you look over here, you're going to notice that it's slightly longer than the actual sight is on the bottom side, right? This is the area that we're cutting, would be the bottom side. So it's slightly longer than where the sight is. And then of course in the back, we also run into the same issue. It's slightly longer in the back than the actual sight itself. So one of the options we have is to mount this plate directly to the slide, right? Because what that means is the two center holes would go into the slide, and then the outside holes are where they line up with the actual red dot itself. So I'm not a big fan of cutting slides to match plates. The MOS version guns are cut very specific from Glock. They have a rib down the center and then a little notch on the right hand side where the plunger hole is. You can see that here. Okay, you can see the rib down the center and you can see the little area. So this would obviously go on the slide this way. Okay, so I'm not a big fan of that. It's just one of the things that I don't enjoy doing. And the other thing to note is that the MOS guns have a farther rear back dovetail. So if you happen to look at them, I think I did a video a while back of an MOS versus a regular one. If I haven't done a video, I apologize, but I definitely have had both of them in hand at the same time. But what you find is that on the MOS guns, of course we have our plunger hole, right? And we need to move this up in order to get it out of the way of the plunger hole, which is somewhere in that general neighborhood. Let me see if I can use a flashlight, show you guys a little better. So it's somewhere in that general neighborhood, and see how far back we are. So now this is an MOS plate. So I mean, maybe we could move it forward a little bit, but right there we're definitely going to be going into the hole, and we're still nowhere near enough room for the rear dovetail to actually mount and stay. So what you're going to find out is on the MOS, the dovetail has been moved to the rear just ever so slightly to accommodate the plates. Okay, so we could use that plate, but what that means is we would have to cut the plate, trim the plate on the front and back to basically make it fit between the dovetail and the plunger hole. So that's one option. The other option is to skip this plate altogether, and they give you this mounting plate. It's like a little shim. And one of the things I want to note between these plates is that there's a difference in thickness. It's hard for you guys to tell maybe, but this one's thinner than this one. And what that means is that's going to overall set the height of your red dot higher. So if we do go with a plate like this and we set it down in, ultimately the red dot's going to be mounted higher than if we use just this shim plate. Just overall, that's just the nature of the plates because one's thicker than the other. So this is, I guess, like I said, this is like a mounting shim plate, probably something to do with an anti-flicker battery cover, something along that line. That's my guess. And it just basically doesn't have any threading in it at all. It's just solid holes. Maybe you guys can see that on the table a little bit. It's a solid hole design, so basically it goes through, and then the red dot would mount directly to the slide itself. And we do have some longer screws that accommodate that plate if we're going to be utilizing that plate. We're going to be using the plate. We're not going to be going with, we're going to use the shim plate. We're not going to be going with an MOS plate for multiple reasons. One reason is if this red dot sight ever becomes moved to an MOS gun, one, we haven't destroyed our plate, so that's kind of an added bonus feature. And two, because this is thinner. So overall, I'm always about having those sights moved lower to the center of the weapon instead of having them high. You start running into issues like, do the suppressor sights actually view through the red dot? You know, what kind of issues are we causing by having the red dot mounted higher on the slide itself? So the other issue I happen to have is with the documentation. You know, we've got some warranty paperwork stuff, right, and that's going to go back to the company that sent it to me. But what you're not going to really find in here is you really don't see anything about the curvature of the plate. So they don't really give you any of the radius of the plate. They really don't tell you what any of the screws are. A lot of the other manufacturers, the Leopolds, the Trigicons, the Fast Fires, all the Vortex stuff, they tell you what the thread screws are, you know, what these screws are actually threaded for. And we've got some different screws in here. So we've got some that are tapered, and we've got some that have just a round head, right? So the deal is you got to go through the process, and you got to figure out exactly what screws it takes. And if you're new to this, then you got to go out and buy a tap once you figure out what the screws are. So it's kind of an annoying process. And once again, that's why I'm building this video for you. There's not going to be a whole lot of actually cutting content in this video. This is more of an educational video for those of you that do go through the process of mounting red dots, maybe some of those hurdles that you guys are going to run into while you're doing it. So we have to figure out what our thread pattern is for that. Okay, so that's first and foremost. We've got to figure that out. Now the other issue is that the curvature of the plate itself. So once you put this plate on here, what you're going to notice is that this is actually curved on the front here all the way across. So if you look at it like this, you can see this is curved and this is curved. And then, of course, once you put the plate on, it finishes the curve all the way across. So you end up having a radius from left to right, and they don't tell you what that is. So it comes out being one of those deals where you've got to work through those as well, take some measurements, do some cuts, do some samples, figure out what actually fits, make sure you have a nice fit and finish overall on your product when you're done. So, guys, I've gone through that process. I figured all that stuff out. We're already well beyond that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut this slide for this this RMR red dot, and we're going to bring it back and see exactly how it fits, and we'll just see what we came up with. Overall, guys, I'm really impressed with the way that it mounts. It sets up a little bit higher than what I would like. We are using the plate, so you can see the plate here. You're not required. Once again, the screws go straight through the plate, and they do offer a double set of screws. So they offer a longer set of screws for using the plate, and they offer a slightly shorter set of screws for, you know, removing that plate and mounting it directly to the slide itself. So, but guys, one of the things I did was I went ahead and added my rose barrel here, my diamond barrel with a flush cut nose. Just wanted to give you guys just a better appearance overall of a, you know, give you that visual. But guys, it's pretty cool. So you can see some nice gappage there. Okay. One of the things I've noticed is that if you're not using the plate, that it hits right on the frame a little bit. Almost to the point where you can maybe say it doesn't hit. I mean, it's right on the line of seeing a little bit of space between it if you look at the right angle, kind of one of those deals. So my recommendation would be to maybe adjust the pattern a little bit, bring it up just a hair more than what it normally would be. But really the decision has to be made whether you're using the plate or not, because what happens is if we don't cut it as deep, okay, then we can use the red dot mounted directly onto the slide. But if we are going to use the plate, then I would cut it to the standard depth. So, you know, it's kind of one of those, you really need to decide how you want to have it mounted beforehand, because what you don't want to do is cut it more shallow and still use the plate, because therefore you're just raising the red dot even higher for the rear sight to have issues with seeing through the backside. So it's kind of one of those deals where decisions need to be made maybe before the cut process starts. But either way, it's a very slick design. It's just one of those new products that's on the market. I like it a lot. I'll probably end up adding one of them to my setup. I have a lot of different range guns, a lot of different demo guns, a lot of example guns, and I'll probably end up adding one to mine because more than likely this won't be the first customer that reaches out to me that wants to have one done and probably wants to see an example of one done. So with that being said, it's on my short list of things to purchase for my own collection. But guys, if you have not subscribed, subscribe. If you like the content, hit the like. We're going to be turning out a lot of other new videos. We've got a lot of other new stuff that we haven't done before on the channel. We've got some small stuff like this that isn't a full-blown build. It's just a little bit of work. And I think it's an opportunity for you guys to see something that maybe you haven't seen before and have some work turned out that maybe I haven't turned out before. So please subscribe, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook. Feel free to go to our webpage, NCEngravers.com, go to the contacts tab, and right from there you can shoot us any questions that you may have about any of the services that we offer. Also at the end of our video, there's a direct link to our contacts tab. You'll see a little box that's going to pop up in one of the corners that has a picture of our webpage. You can simply go there. It'll bring you right to that fill out page for our contacts. So you can go ahead and fill out that right there and send it, so you don't actually have to open up a new tab and go to the webpage. So real cool, we've put a little shortcut link there for you guys. But guys, have a good one.